What's up guys, I'm Aidan, and if you know anything about me, you would know that I love movies. More specifically, horror movies. I'm talking Insidious, Halloween, The Shining, Alien, my personal favorite, Scream, Friday the 13th. You name it, I've probably seen it. And as a self-proclaimed horror expert, I can say without a doubt that some of the best horror I've ever seen has come from the land of the rising sun, Japan. And what I love about so many of these Japanese horror movies is that so many of them are actually based on true stories, or at least folklore. Just knowing that the events of a horror movie are things that someone actually lived through just adds so much to the fear factor of these many different films. So here's my list of the top 5 dark Japanese horror films based on true scary stories. And no worries, I'll avoid spoilers so you can watch these yourself. At number 5 is Ju-on the Grudge. Quick disclaimer, I'm not Japanese, so don't expect any perfect pronunciation. Feel free to correct me in the comments though. Ju-on the Grudge, released in 2002 and directed by Takashi Shimizu, is a movie part of the Ju-on movie franchise, which explores the terrifying consequences of a vengeful curse. Known for its chilling atmosphere and fragmented storytelling approach, the film has left an indelible mark on the horror genre. The narrative of The Grudge is split up into pieces, presenting a non-linear sequence of events that revolve around a cursed house in Tokyo. While some find this form of storytelling to be a little confusing, I like it because it keeps you engaged, you know? Anyway, the film delves into the horrifying tale of Kayako Seiki, a woman who becomes a malevolent spirit after being killed by her husband Takeo, along with their son Toshio, in a gruesome event that ended in him taking his own life. He killed his family after he came to believe that Kayako was having an affair. Jealous much? And so the spirits of all three are bound to their family home as manifestations of just pure hatred and rage, hence the name The Grudge. The movie is characterized by its eerie and unsettling ambiance, often relying on subtle scares and psychological horror rather than relying on excessive gore or jump scares. The use of unconventional narrative techniques, like overlapping timelines and interconnected character arcs, contributes to the film's disorienting and disturbing atmosphere. The origins of Kayako's story can be traced back to an old Japanese myth known as Onryo. Onryo roughly translates to vengeful spirit, and refers to a ghost that inhabits the living realm in order to seek revenge for their mistreatment they experienced in their past life. There are many tales of Onryo that exist within Japan, but the one which stands as inspiration for The Grudge is Oiwa. Oiwa was a young woman, deeply in love with her husband, Tamiya Lemon, despite the fact that he was cheating on her. But when Oiwa's father discovered his infidelity, Lemon killed him and later killed a pregnant Oiwa too. During his marriage ceremony to his new bride, Lemon lifted her veil only to see Oiwa's disfigured and rotting face. In shock, Lemon beheaded his new bride, setting off a series of supernatural events. Oiwa's vengeful spirit began to haunt Lemon relentlessly, driving him to madness and causing his eventual death. The Grudge went on to be a major success, spawning several sequels, franchise installments, a trilogy of American remakes, a Netflix series, and in 2020 they made another American Grudge movie. So if you couldn't tell, The Grudge is a certified classic. Next up at number 4, Gozu. Released in 2003 and directed by Takashi Miike, Gozu is a surreal and mind-bending Japanese horror comedy crime film extravaganza that delves into the realms of the bizarre and the grotesque. Known for his provocative and unconventional filmmaking, Miike crafts an unsettling narrative that blurs the lines between reality and the supernatural, leaving audiences both perplexed and intrigued. Gozu follows Minami, a Yakuza enforcer, as he embarks on a strange and nightmarish journey to hunt down his missing colleague, Ozaki. The film's narrative takes increasingly bizarre turns as Minami encounters a series of eccentric characters and surreal situations in a seemingly mundane town. As Minami's search for Ozaki intensifies, the film's surrealism deepens, leading to a climax that defies traditional narrative conventions. At the heart of Gozu lies a real urban legend that serves as a central motif in the film: the cow-headed man. The legend of the cowhead is a macabre and unsettling tale that plays a significant role in the movie's strange atmosphere. According to the legend, a cow's head appears mysteriously and malevolently in the dreams of those who have angered it, and it is said to possess and drive people insane with fear until their deaths. One story tells of a school teacher who, while on a camping trip with students, decided to tell the legend of the Gozu to his students as a fun, scary story. But when he began the story, his eyes went glossy, his face expressionless, and he told the story as if some mystical force had taken over all his senses. When the teacher came back to his senses, he found himself sitting in the bus they took to the camp, crashed into a ditch. All of the students inside had fainted and were frothing from their mouths, sweating and shivering. While everyone survived the crash, the events that took place make for a chilling mystery about a man possessed by Gozu, the cow-headed man. The film's use of the cowhead legend adds layers of complexity to its narrative, infusing it with cultural symbolism and unsettling imagery. As a result, Gozu stands as a testament to Takashi Miike's unique and daring approach to filmmaking. It makes for a pretty crazy horror movie too. Coming in at number 3, Teketeke. The story goes that Teketeke is the vengeful spirit of a young woman who was tragically sliced in half by a train while trying to escape from a creepy assailant. Her gruesome demise gave rise to her admittedly funny name, derived from the sound she makes when she crawls over to you on her fingers. Teketeke. Teketeke, 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 teketeke. Can't tell if that's creepy or silly yet, to be honest with you guys. But the spirit of Teketeke is said to haunt lonely and dimly lit places, moving with incredible speed on her hands, emitting that Teketeke sound as she approaches her victims. Those unfortunate enough to encounter her face a grim fate, as she mercilessly slices them in half with a scythe, mirroring her own tragic demise. The horror movie of the same name was made in 2009 and capitalizes on the fear associated with the ghost. It follows a group of high school students who become entangled in the horrifying mystery surrounding Teketeke after they witness a gruesome killing. As the students dig deeper into the legend, they find themselves pursued by the malevolent spirit, leading to a series of gruesome and terrifying encounters. So, if you guys are ever alone in Japan and hear that haunting Teketeke noise, run as fast as you can. Because even though she's lacking in the leg department, Teketeke moves really fast. Teke. Anyway, at number 2 is The Ring. By far the most iconic movie on this list, Ring, released in 1998 and directed by Hideo Nakata, follows investigative journalist Reiko Asakawa as she attempts to uncover the truth behind a cursed videotape that leads to the death of anyone who watches it 7 days later. The movie masterfully blends psychological horror and supernatural elements, creating an atmosphere of suspense and terror that has inspired just about every movie on this list. The movie's success lies in its ability to evoke primal fears, particularly the fear of technology and the unknown. In a rapidly modernizing world, the concept of a malevolent force being transmitted through a video taps into contemporary anxieties surrounding technology that are still prevalent today, 25 years after the movie's release. The story is based on a deadly ghost by the name of Okiku. Okiku was a servant whose primary duty was to look after 10 highly valuable golden plates owned by the samurai that she worked for. One day, the samurai, madly in love, but very misguided, hid one of the plates and told Okiku that if she didn't agree to be with him, he would blame her for stealing the plate, which would lead to her execution. Okiku, cornered, decided to jump down a well, ending her life. From then on, her ghost would crawl out the well and appear to the samurai on a nightly basis, tormenting him. She was regularly heard counting those golden plates in the dungeon, going into a fit of rage and violence whenever she realized that 10th plate was missing, which it always was. The imagery of crawling and the idea of this rage coming out when the ghost finishes counting inspired filmmakers to create the character of Sadako, the ghost in the movie, and is what helped make this movie the horror staple that it is. Ring's profound impact on the horror genre in both Japan and globally helped spawn sequels, prequels, remakes, and a cultural phenomenon known as the Curse of Sadako, named after the film's vengeful spirit. Topping it off at number 1 is Hanako of the Toilet, and yes, that is the actual name of the movie. Hanako of the Toilet, released in 1995, is a Japanese horror film that delves into the eerie and unsettling urban myth surrounding the titular ghostly figure. Rooted in Japanese folklore and contemporary true urban legends, Hanako of the Toilet captures the fascination with supernatural entities that occupy everyday spaces, striking a chord with audiences' primal fears and morbid curiosity. The urban myth of Hanako is a popular and enduring legend in Japanese culture. The story typically centers around a young girl named Hanako who is said to haunt school restrooms, particularly the third stall of the third floor girls' bathroom. Yes, I know, very specific. Hanako is often portrayed as a ghostly figure dressed in a red skirt, lurking in the restroom and waiting to interact with those who dare to call her name. Different versions of the myth exist, with variations on how Hanako met her demise and the nature of her interaction with those who seek her out. Hanako of the Toilet brings this urban legend to life on the silver screen, capitalizing on the fear of the unknown and the uncanny. The film follows a group of students who decide to investigate the legend of Hanako, leading to a series of chilling and supernatural encounters. The movie's setting in the school, a place associated with safety and innocence, serves to intensify the sense of horror as the young students confront the ghostly presence that dwells within the restroom. While Hanako of the Toilet brings the legend to life cinematically, it also adds its own spin to the story. The film expands upon the story, delving into the backstory of Hanako and her connection to a tragic event. This narrative depth adds layers to the horror, providing audiences with a more intricate understanding of the ghostly figure and the circumstances that led to her haunting presence. And because I can, here's a bonus movie. Sadako vs. Kayako. Released in 2016, Sadako vs. Kayako is actually a crossover movie between The Grudge and The Ring. The plot is essentially that there's these two women, both cursed by these two different ghosts, and instead of just sitting there and dying, they come up with this scheme to get the spirits in a room together and make them fight. The film garnered mixed reviews and not much success, as it doesn't really combine the two stories very well together. It all felt like a jumbled mess. However, it's still a pretty fun watch if you don't want to take it seriously, because it's just two iconic Japanese ghost girls duking it out. What better way to spend your Friday night, right guys? But anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Would love it if you liked, commented, subscribed, and hit the bell. If you don't, then there may or may not be a vengeful ghost crawling out of whatever screen you watch this on in 7 days. Consider yourself warned. Teketeke. But in all seriousness, see you in the next one. Goodbye.